How are we doing this week? Let's see. So let's get everything situated. Let me know if I'm too loud or anything. Put on some background music because it never does it on its own. Let me know if it's too loud for you guys. All right. Let's see. Hey, everybody. So some questions already. All right. Let's get started with that. Let me fix my chat here real quick, or my caption. Did my chat there. All right. Hello, everybody. So just a student's question here. Let's bring that one up. Just a student asks, hi, I'm really torn between using MonoGame or Raylib and C++ for game development. Which one do you recommend and why? I mean, it depends. Obviously we have some bias. I have some projects that I work on that are C++. Have some projects that I work on C#. I can say, like, there's one project that we did that because it originally the code base that we started with came from C++. We continued down the C++ path with it, and in hindsight, I kind of regret not switching to C#. Because while you can, it's weird, my music cut out. Wonder what's going on there. Is it not set to loop? Strange. Oh, it's not set to loop by default. Weird. And I kind of regret not going back to moving it over to C#, which I had the time to do it at the time, and I could have. And it would have provided me a little bit more, I don't know, there's some conveniences in C#, that I felt like I missed being in C++. There's a lot of things that by default, you get out of C# that plus you have to think a little bit harder about. So for me, like, if I was starting a brand new project, I would start with MonoGame because I'd rather work in C#. Raylib, I have not used it before. I don't know the details of it. I've heard of it. But you're kind of working in C++ at that point. And if you feel more comfortable there, I think that would, that's probably fine. Either way, I still think that people should focus on, kind of rolling their own game engine, whenever they're building something and not just going straight for Unity or Unreal Engine. I mean, it depends on what you're building, but I think there's something about having something more handcrafted that is not something that's just kind of stock. A lot of times you can kind of tell in real games a lot of times because they have kind of a certain look or feel to them. Not that they have to, it's just you have to take some extra work to make sure it doesn't feel like a standard Unreal thing. Unity a little bit less so because it's more generic and less FPS centric. But even with Unity, you can kind of tell sometimes. And I think with MonoGame, you can be all over the place, because it's kind of up to you to define how it feels. So for me, if I was starting something new right now, and in fact, we are trying to start some new stuff, we're starting at the C# side in MonoGame, whereas, if you have more experience with C++ and you have experience with Raylib, maybe that makes sense for you. I can't really say one way or another, and I'm not sure what Raylib's story is for like mobile or for consoles. I mean, it being a C++ library, you would think that it would be supported in those places, but I don't know for sure. I would consider all those factors, and do you want to be working with C++, a year or two from now and have a code base written on it and feel happy, or will you feel happy there? So yeah, that's how I would approach it. I can't really give you a good answer, other than that. I mean, I guess if I was coming from the Raylib world and only worked in C++, then I'd feel happy there. For me, I've worked in both, it feels more fun working in C# than it does in C++ a lot of times. So I don't know, that's my answer. Hopefully that helps. Let's see.
Quirky, hello. John Smith, hello. Fix the ticker. All right, so let's get to actually doing things here. So we're going back to the storage work, which we had done previously. Let me clean up a couple things here. Still have Discord running in the background, and Discord likes to pop up things in my view, and I don't like that. So I'm going to clean that up by end-tasking Discord, because it does not like to... Hey, Turtle. Interesting. Follow up on Just a Student's post. You're trying to make a Pong game and every platform managed to do it in C++, but for some reason not knowing C#, I couldn't create one MonoGame. I mean, I would go to the Discord. You know, our Discord is linked from the website. I would go to our Discord and, you know, present that, because that's interesting. Why was it? I'd love to know why was it that you couldn't write a Pong game there. I know that they've been written millions of times in MonoGame, so just interested in what the thing was, what was difficult for you, so we can try to remove that barrier for others. All right, so getting back to this, let's share my screen. Tap the screen. All right, screen is shared. Hide that dumb thing. All right, so I already pulled and got the latest. Everything should build. Let's make sure it builds. Looks like everything's building. Let's get our scales up here. People can read our text. There we go. Everything built. Awesome. All right, so let me mute my phone real quick. If not, it might get loud. All right, so here's where we were looking at the song stuff the other day and the media decoders. We're going to, though, switch gears back to storage. So I think we were doing that in the desktop BK unit tests. I think we had a test in here for it. Storage tests, yes. And I don't remember where we left these storage tests. Let's just run the tests and see what happens. I think they ran, but some of them failed for some reason. I do not remember why. Where did those guys go? Did I actually run them? I'm really annoyed by that. Run tests. Just says build started, 0 failed, completed. Didn't run crap. That's weird. I'm unsure why I did that. Let's see, just want to do it from here. Didn't want to do it from there either. Test finished, 12 tests, 0 passed, 12 failed. It was skipped. Why did 0? Let's figure this out. Why the heck? That's interesting. Is it because this is not included somehow? Wonder if it's not included in the framework, and that's what needs to be fixed. I might have been working on it on the DX12 side, maybe. Well, no, it doesn't really matter which one I run it in. It still failed. What the heck is going on here? Okay, type release you're through an exception. I guess that's okay. Weird. I was expecting it to show up here as a failed test that it ran and it failed, but it's not showing there for some reason. Oh, there it is. Okay, it was just hidden, and they're all failing for the same thing. All right, now I'm back. So I'm pretty sure this is failing because the storage system, we started to add a native API in here. And I think it was, where did it start? There's that, but I think it doesn't even get there. Is it storage device native? Yeah. Yeah, it's probably getting there and failing. Just gonna debug this one. Just want to make sure I understand what's happening. Yep, that's what's failing. Okay, good. That's what I wanted to see. We're in the process of setting up the native backend and making that work. So let's go look and see. I bet you that the native project doesn't have the CPP, the C++ code for this in there. Which one am I working on here? Just need to make sure I'm on the right project here. Well, not for that, for tests. Okay, it thinks it's desktop VK. I'm going to unload the DX project just so that we don't accidentally run the wrong one. Leave that guy open. So, and then what we want to do is we want to fix the Vulkan build included. I'm pretty sure that if I go in here, nope, storage is there, so it is in place. Probably just needs to be rebuilt. Okay, this should work this time, I think. Oh wait, this is a DLL thing again. MonoGame.native. That I seem to remember something about that changing names. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah. So I think what's going on here is that our, yeah, this is what that needs to change. That's something that changed in the last couple of weeks that I forgot about fixing, so that's fixed. I think that's all I need to do there. I think that'll just work at that point. Debug this guy again. Should work this time. Should go to native code. Yep, there's our native code. Called that. So it's getting here. Open container. It's getting a name, creating a container object, which does nothing at the moment. That's fine. Get total space. It's returning 0 at the moment. I mean, we should probably, for unit test sake, to verify that things are working, we should probably make sure it's always greater than 0. Even though technically storage should, any device and let's say, what does this return? Bytes? I assume it's bytes, right? See, this is where I get annoyed by comments. Gets the total amount of space on the device. Great. In what format? I assume in bytes. Gets the total amount of space in bytes on the device. It's like I hate it when code comments basically are useless. You know, this code comment before was useless. You know, gives a total amount of space on the device. Well, it's the storage device, and it's called total space. You just repeated exactly within it. It's a getter. You just repeated exactly what the comment, what the code is, and gave you no extra information about anything about the, you know, the actual API and what it does. Now it actually gives you information in bytes, something that's not here. You know, could this be called total space in bytes? It could. I've seen APIs that are written that way, but you know, it doesn't. It's not. So it could have been better. So yeah. So anyways, that's a pet peeve of mine, like that stuff. In bytes on the device. So now we've established what it should be. I wonder if I should change that to a long. What's the max long? Oh, it's going to be like 9 terabytes or something like that, isn't it? Wait, yeah. So it should be fine. Long, I think, is pretty well accepted for that stuff, so it should be okay. I don't want to change it to unsigned unless we really, really need to. Because I don't want to break the API any further from that. I do wonder whether this should be the responsibility of the platform code to handle exceptions and do something with it. I don't know. It's fine. Anyways, in bytes. So I'm going to go back my tests. We're going to assume that there's at least, you know, 1024 free bytes. Total space available and free space available. Like that's, you know, just as a good test. And then that lets me start testing that this stuff works, right? So for the native code here, I'm just going to basically use a file system call to get free space on the device. Let's see what the right file system call is. I mean, I could use the Win32 API here, and I wonder if there's a C version of it that is helpful. And there is a PostX API suggesting this one. I mean, I could try this on Windows too, see if it gives us everything that we need. That might be a good starting point, potentially. Yeah, let's try it, because if this works on all platforms, then it's good enough for our purpose. Again, I'm building this native implementation specifically for PC-like platforms, so that's going to be Mac, Linux, Windows. At a later date, it would be extended for things like mobile or console, but this is a starting point. So let's start with this API and see how that goes. We'll see if this even works. Don't like that. Oh, actually, that might not be available in Windows at all. Okay, so it's not available on Windows, period, end of story, without using a third-party library. So we're not going to do that for Windows. So we really do need to define it as two different things to make this work. Okay, so what we're going to do is, what's our defines for this? I think we have something set up for this. What is it? Yeah, we have that. So we'll use this path for 132. Deal with the other one in a moment. So here we want to use, what's the API? Oh, get this free disk space. Oh, we probably do want to do this. What is it? 130. Lean and mean. So there's two free space. I'm going to use the A equivalent because I don't need to have. So we're going to use this one down here. Maybe we need to just get space information. I think space information returns multiple pieces of information, and the other one returns just the free space. We need a path. This is where, well, interesting. I wonder. Well, it's going to get a path, but the path is based on where we decide storage is going to be, which for Windows, you know, what's the right thing here? I think in the past, what have we done on XNA for storage on that? This is where I need to go look at our old implementation and see where we were putting storage before. I think we can go down to let's go to an old tag from back in the day. Probably 3.2. And we can go to framework, and storage will be in here somewhere. Storage. This is the old implementation. Let's see how we will replace things here. Storage root. Storage root defined. App data current local folder path. It's probably not the best place for that. I mean, it is a question of where the storage should be. We're going to kind of leave it a little bit open for right now. And the important thing for getting the total space and the free space is going to be what drive is it on. That's the most important thing. So we know it's going to be, we're not going to store it alongside the application at the moment. So, because that's usually just a bad place to put it. You know, even for Steam games, you don't want to do that. Usually it's placed in the user folders. So we're going to put it in a user folder of some sort, and not just in the in there. So I think what we want to do is let's see if Google's going to be nice today and give us something useful. Stack Overflow is sometimes helpful here. Don't want that. Yeah, we probably want to do something like that. That's probably the API I'm going to be looking for. I'm going to start with this. We can adjust this later. I don't want to get too hung up on, well, what path should it be. We're going to start with this. This API is kind of gross. Why does it need a token? For default user. Really? Okay. Okay, let's go with that. I'm going to make a helper here that can return this. Yeah, that's probably what I want to do. Is get a helper that returns this thing for me, because it's going to be easier. Let's just figure it out. This is not going to change on a regular basis. At least not during, I mean, we're not going to worry about the fact that could the user change users while the app is running? Probably not. So we're just going to make this very much a helper that will statically get this one time and not do anything else, and not get it multiple times. So what we'll do is, this is kind of gross, but I'm going to do it this way anyways. Yep. And we'll deal with the consequences later. Instead. And clean this up later. Mm, 32. So it said something about log on user. I've never used this API. Oh God. I don't want to log on the user. I want to get the current. Must be a better. I hate having to do this blind. Maybe I should be using that. Let's try this and see what we get. Second differentiated function. Lost it. So this one might be removed in the future. So instead use this one, but this one's depreciated. Okay, that's interesting. I hate being hung up on something stupid like this. I'm just gonna do this for right now. So I hate being hung up on something dumb. I just want this to start working. We can worry about refining it later. So I'm just gonna make I'm just gonna do that. Actually, well, yeah, let's just do that. I'm just gonna do that for right now. Super dumb, but it works. What does it not like? Oh, it's not like that. We'll deal with what the right path is later. Again, what does it not like here? Oh, wrong define. Super dumb, but it works. Get free space, or get information once a path. I'm gonna do that. Probably do that, but you know, it's not great. I'm really annoyed by how they do this. Let's figure out what this structure actually tells us, because they decided to call all the functions or all the members weird shit. Total volume size without considering quota setting. That's probably what we want. Total volume size limited by quota setting. Does total allocation mean total reserve space, total space of the volume? Okay. Use allocation, use the total space of the volume. I think that's what we want. Double check it by checking my we'll test that here in a moment. Verify that that works. That they added a special function for this. Wonder why there's that and they have this one as well, because doesn't this return the information I need for that as well, the free available space? I think it does, because that's what available returns. I'm going to try that one. I don't know if this is going to be right, so we're going to find out. What? Oh. So let's try this and see what we get, huh? Worst case, it doesn't work, and at least we have some code in place. We can start working on this thing. All right. Okay, so Results okay. We got info. Let's look at this structure real quick and see what's actually in it. That'll help me verify that things are working. So I go look at my C drive, which is super full. Actually, let me just get the properties from my C drive. That's all I really need to look at. Okay, come on. You just showed it to me. Stupid thing. Come on. There we go. Properties for my C drive. So 946. This is none of that. Interesting how this is completely incorrect, or not what I expect. And what is it trying to give me here? Am I somehow reading this wrong? Oh, it's in allocation units. Okay. I think there's some math that has to be done here. Yeah, I think this is what has to happen. No, it didn't like that at all. There we go. I don't know if that's accurate. I don't trust it. It's not the exact size, which is what... Oh, no, it is. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. Capacity. 99525707776. 99525707776. Exact. So we have to do a little math here to make it work, but it's going to work. So let's figure out the rest of the stuff. So I'm going to do let's change this to error, or just change it to okay. That seems nicer. Then we can do I was going to do result there, but total equals bytes per sector times sectors per application unit. Just so that I can actually read it, I'm going to break this up, just because I don't no benefit in stretching across several lines. We'll do the same thing down here. Call it free because it's nicer. That's what I want, because I believe that's the one that includes quota information, which I don't know how important that is. It's part of Windows that you can set a quota on a user of how much space is available. Having it accurate probably is not a bad thing. Windows is extremely complicated because of that, so this is probably okay if we do it that way. So this will return free, and I'm going to test this and verify that it looks like I'm getting what I expect. Since I don't have a quota on this disk, this will tell me whether it's getting the full disk under quota or not. So I think that's what I want there. So let's test this test again. Man, getting the free space seems so easy. Where are we at? Okay, so failed because it didn't break for some reason, because I guess it did not get my rebuild code. I need to fix this thing to not fail like that. It is kind of annoying. No, well, that's stupid. I didn't want to do that. I hit F5. It'd be nice if that's what it did, but it doesn't. Right, so that's the number it came up with, which is the total size of my disk. My C drive is that. Doesn't matter what folder it's in, because the folder shouldn't change it. You know, I don't think there's ever a chance that the user folder might be. I mean, I guess there's a chance. Well, no, if the user folder is redirected somewhere else, it'll work properly, because it's going to point to the actual user path for this user that's currently signed into the application. But yes, so we're getting the right size there for total. So it's going to return a proper total. And then the question is, will it return the right thing? No, not like. Oh, I think my test is wrong here. So that's more accurate. Okay, so get free space. So this is what it says is free. Let's see if that's accurate to what I see on my drive. Did I lose that? I did. That looks accurate. Wait, is it? 53242457. I mean, it looks close, but is it 1, 2, 3? I mean, it looks like it's in the range, but it's not the same. I wonder. I'm looking at the wrong one. I'm looking at caller available allocation units. I think that's the right one. I'm not sure why it's different. I mean, it's different in the this is a 7 versus that, so it's different in the megabytes level of size, right? Yeah, it's off by a couple of megabytes, so that seems like a lot. Not sure why that's different. I'll have to keep an eye on that. I'm not sure why that's different. Is there a command line? Maybe there's a command line call I can make here. Oh wait, doesn't dir just return that? It might actually do that. I mean, this is returning something different as well. 5. Why is this one even more different? It's weird. 3, 2, 4, 5. It's there, but then this one is different. 4, 5, and then it's different down here. Interesting, and that's different from what even from the OS setting, right? Yeah, because this is, or is it? Yeah, it's even different from this. So I'm getting different sizes for all of them. Who knows? I mean, it could also just be, you know what? It could also be timing. You know, my machine is currently running, and it's probably caching things on disk. I bet you if I open a second window of this, it might show that, well, if it lets me. It might actually, in fact, this number is completely different than it was a minute ago. So yeah, I can't accurately verify it because the free space is always changing because I have logs running, Visual Studio, some streaming occurring. It's going to change all the time. So all I can say is that it looks relatively accurate to what it is at the moment, but it could be different later. So this works. So that's a plus. I'm going to move on. I'm not going to implement the Mac and Linux for right now. At least this is to a working state. So that's a positive. Did that mean our unit test pass? Yeah, it did. All right. Let me run this real quick and just see what fails and succeeds just to see. Okay, so it actually does all succeed and fail, but it's not doing anything because it's not actually calling native calls for this stuff when it should. That's our next thing. I mean, we were gonna actually, I think this stuff we were going to change around. But hey, start. So that's being written. The storage initialization doesn't really need to do anything, but I could take advantage of this and actually allocate this at the initialization and get this path one time. Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad thing to do. There's a better way to do this, I know. What I should probably be doing is I should be getting what I should probably be doing is I should be getting using the environment variable to get it instead of an API, because that will work in resolving the environment variable maybe. That'll be the simple way to do it. It works off the file system and should be clean, but let me try that real quick. What is it? Okay, I could use get environment, which will return a path for me. I can then copy. So I can do like I want to copy it, so interesting that it returns a non. Does that actually allocate? That doesn't allocate, does it? It's just weird that it returns a character pointer and suggesting you can change it. Seems fucking weird to me, but whatever. Even down here, it's, you know, referencing as a const, so that's kind of strange. User profile or local app data. Let's try this one. See if we can get that from there. I think we can do this. I think that will work. Change a test. Build it. That's a slow build. look at that. Users Tom app data local. So that definitely is returning the local app data folder, which is probably where we want stuff written to. We can reevaluate that later, but at least it does that. So now we have a path, and this should still work properly. I'll return our storage space, which looks correct. Yep. So all that looks correct. So good. So progress. I'm just using get environment, which makes it a lot easier than dealing with stupid Windows APIs. And this could actually, the same technique could work on the other platforms. And in fact, I think that's how it'll be done for the other platforms. This is just the storage root. The rest of it is based on the application name and the path you give it, I believe. I think based on the application name. We'll have to figure that out later. We'll have to see. But at least we got this far. So this is storing the name, but it's not doing anything with it. Because at some point we actually need to write things to disk. Let's go see how we have that set up. First of all these tests I think are not flushing. Stream is disposed here, create file. Yeah, the thing here is like when we open the container, it actually doesn't write until you, the idea was that we don't want it to write until you actually dispose the container or you manually call flush. And we do want it to be on the disposal of the container, right? No, I think what we talked about was we wanted it to not be based on dispose. We want it to be based on actually calling something to flush it. So because if you don't, we don't want it to, if this code here, let's say it says, okay, I'll do this, and then it actually crashes here in the middle of this, you don't want it to flush that stuff to disk because the container is disposed when it leaves here. You don't want that to flush to disk. You want it to flush when it's, when it's actually time to flush that data in a way that you control it and you know that nothing's going to fail from here on out. So these tests pass because none of them are writing to disk. They're all working in memory at the moment. So it all works because it's all storing to memory and no one's calling flush. So there's not an actual write here to test it. I think the idea was that we wanted to, so commit was the thing that actually is going to do the write. And that's what we're missing at the moment. This test will, I think that's the one test that does not work, right? The reason it does not work is because it's actually flushing to disk. Like it's doing all the stuff in memory and then flushing. The other ones don't, you're just working in memory. Which I think is a valid way to test it. Because, having it actually write to disk, that's a separate test than all the API basically works. We'll worry about the fact that this needs to read stuff from disk when it starts up at some point or lazily read it later. So this is the one that fails, and it fails because of what? Let's verify that it's failing because missing after reload, right. So here's where we're going to commit the container, and then it's not disposing the old container. Does it use it down here? Yeah, I mean, it should probably just do it's deleting the old container and then creating a new one. Yeah, there's no reason that we have to keep both of them around. Not for this test. So what I'm going to do is change this a little around using our container. It's more clear what it's doing here. It doesn't have to wait for processing. Commit is synchronous, so it will do it, as we're going here. So it's going to commit, and then this container is now disposed. So it's going to create a second container. It doesn't really have to create a second storage device. I guess it's doing it on purpose. Let's ignore that part for right now. It doesn't need that. Open container will probably be the thing that does the, I mean, maybe it doesn't do the work. It possibly won't. We'll wait till it gets to things like, hey, get the directory names and stuff like that to like I don't like things that, I guess you want it predictable. Like if open container does some work, that's very predictable versus all these functions do work when you call them. So maybe having open container be the thing that says, okay, they're opening a specific container. Let's read the information we need into memory so that it behaves predictably. So we probably want to do that, but we'll see. Oh, I see what's going on here. It's using these for later, but we can put these out here. Now, can we not do that? Can't do that either. I was thinking we could do one of these things, but whatever. Doesn't matter. All right, so going through here, container 2 and doing that. This test should still fail, but just make sure. How's everybody doing out there? Any questions? Any issues? Just let me know. All right. So still fails, same thing. You can't find directory 1 because it's going through here and it's failing because it can't find directories. Because this failed because the containers, well, let's start with the flush part of it, I guess. The commit doesn't do anything at the moment, and it needs to do something. So what it's going to do is it's going to call I guess, should it call platform commit? Yeah, it should call platform commit. To let the platform code do whatever it's supposed to do for this. Because the reason we have to have this and not just call straight to the native API is because if we want to implement this for mobile, our old mobile stuff, or the current mobile stuff, or the current C# stuff, then we need to have a different implementation. The native is a completely different thing, so that'll probably be where we need to make differences here. Is this actually being used? I guess that's there, but yeah, but it's not actually flushing anything, so it doesn't matter. So okay, so this is the thing that's actually going to do the work to commit everything. Well, actually, what we wanted to do, I think that's the thing. What we wanted to do was, because there's some boilerplate that's going to occur here. It has to go through our list of content and do some work. And it's probably okay for it to know how to do the work here and do it in some sort of structured process. Yeah. Because there's two parts to the commit. Depending on the platform. Like on PC, there's one part, which is on PC, there's one part which is we have to
do the actual reading and writing from disk. On console, there's the reading and writing on disk, or in some consoles, talking about there's reading and writing disk, but there is also like the explicit, like, hey, now that we've done all this, flush it to the save system, and that's there so that the same for that reason, make sure that it doesn't get partially written. Let's let the platform code deal with how to deal. Let the platform code handle, doing this, because it might vary on platform what it's going to do with this potentially, and we can lift it back up to the higher level later if we want. So what it's going to do is we're going to do 2 passes here just to keep it cleaner. We're going to do a pass doing deletes, and then we're going to do a pass doing writes. And we need to make sure that code itself does not blow up and leave something partial. Delete should be safe because it's just deletion. Either it deletes or it doesn't delete. Shouldn't blow up in any other way. I guess it could blow up if like the drive was unmounted or something like that. It's kind of hard to make sure that deletes happen not partially, but the partial deletes happening is not such a big deal. We want this to be transactional, but it's okay for the deletes not to be. So we're going to start with deleting. What are these things called? So we're going to go through these, and if how's this thing written? Okay, yeah, is deleted. We mark it as dirty and mark deleted true. So we mark both. So we can probably ignore the deleted. We need to see that it's dirty and it's marked deleted. It's possible that we don't need to do both those things. Yeah, we'll see. I'm going to reverse this. False if dirty, not dirty. Not deleted. Continue. So we'll continue in those cases. Otherwise, we're actually going to do some work. So here it's supposed to be deleted, so we need to actually do the work. And yeah, we need to tell the native level what to do, So yeah, we want to call individual file operations at that point. We're going to let the platform code do the file operation because it might be specialized for that platform, potentially. Yeah. Yeah, so we want to do it something similar to this, right? So, how we can tell if it's a file or it's a thing. Oh, that's right. We tell by the name. It either, I think how we did it was like it ends in a path or something.
Oh no, it has in his directory. Okay. Users might do weird stuff, so it might I'm going to do folders first. If it's not dirty or not deleted or not a folder, continue. Otherwise, we're going to delete folder. The reason we're going to do multiple passes here is like you might delete a file, then go to delete the folder, and it did two operations. If they want to delete a folder, it should just delete the folder. It's going to delete it with all the content, and then it doesn't have to delete the file separately. We just have to handle the file not existing, which we should also handle, in all cases. We're going to tell it to delete the directory. It's going to pass the file name in, and it's just going to handle deleting the directory, whether it's successful or not. I assume does not matter here. It might matter. Let's make it matter. It should tell us whether it was able to delete it or not. It's possible it can't delete it because it was held open or something, right? Like on Windows, it could be totally held open or something. If it's successfully deleted, then, well, first of all, after we do this, it's no longer dirty. And actually, the entry can go away. What's the right way to do this? So directory, the whole entry goes away. Yeah. What I'll do is again, this is temporary processing here. So what I'll do is this, if it successfully deletes the directory, I'm going to mark guess I should, how should I do this? What's the right way? Sorry, I'm trying to think of the right way to do this that I can then clean it up at the end. I guess what I should do is, I hate it when I get paralyzed here by decisions. Maybe I shouldn't be paralyzed by that. I should just do the work and not worry about it for right now. We'll figure out the rest later. So first, let's go add this function. So far, the container plays so little role here. We'll see if we end up needing it or not in the end. I mean, it might play more of a role on different platforms. What I don't want to do is to have to marshal all the data back and forth between C# and C++. So I'm making it more of a file API. Okay, if it's actually deleted, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark it not dirty. And I'm going to do a pass at the end. Yeah, I'm not sure if I want to do a pass on the end. Basically, so I need to remove the stuff from the content that's been deleted. Removing stuff from this while it's going is messy. I don't want to create a temporary. Let's do it the lazy way first, and we'll. Actually, complicated. Because it could fail to delete for some reason, and we want to leave it in there. That's the right way to do it. Clear the deleted flag if you failed to delete it. So it no longer deletes. A question. Using a custom-made mechanical keyboard, linear switches, and possibly perhaps am I wrong? It is an old DOS keyboard, DAS keyboard. I've had it for a very long time. For a very long time, I just used whatever. Actually, for a very long time, I used like an old IBM keyboard that I had, and I never bothered to change it. It didn't bother me, and it worked, and so I never changed it. Then I started, using just whatever, Logitech, Microsoft keyboard that I would get or whatever. I used that for a little while. And then I realized how bad the keys were, after time, read people online talking about that stuff and realized the keys were kind of bad and said, let me move to a mechanical keyboard again. So I used to like the mechanical keyboard I had. And I went with this DOS keyboard, DAS keyboard. And I've had it for a very long time. It's I don't know, this keyboard's probably 10 years old, full of crumbs. Had it for a very long time. So yeah, it's actually the DOS keyboard. It's their quiet key version, compared. It's not as loud as it could be. But yeah, I've been using that for a while. I'm fairly happy with it. It's probably time to upgrade or get a better keyboard, but it works. More than anything, it probably needs to be cleaned, like badly. It's horrifying. I'm not going to show it. So here I'm going to clean up deleted entries. If it's deleted, then I'm going to remove it. What's the right way to do this? I always forget. What's the right way to do that? Ugh, don't like that. Hmm. Huh. Concurrent dictionary allows you to remove stuff in. That's interesting. Concurrent dictionary allows you to remove stuff while it's looping. That wouldn't be a bad thing to have here, I don't think. I mean, not that we're trying. Yeah, we don't want to have to do that, but what we'll do is this. I just have to. Yeah, let's do the lazy way here. And do all the cleanup at the end. Old school go to. If it is deleted, we're going to remove it from this, and then we're going to restart it. Can we do that in a better way? Feels kind of shitty that you can't remove it from the pair. Ah. This feels pretty gross, but it's going to work. That's totally going to work. It's going to jump back here and iterate again. Yes, it does multiple iterations through this thing, but it doesn't allocate any memory, which I think is a plus. We don't have to allocate something temporary, and just keeps our allocations down, even though just keeping one list here of strings might not be a horrible thing, but I don't know. Let's try this and we'll see how it goes. So that's going to call directory delete to delete directories and then mark them as not dirty. Then it's going to delete the entries here at the end that need to be deleted. Delete the files from disk. So same thing, but it's going to delete the files now. Where's our interrupt? It'll work the same way, essentially. All right, so let's build this code real quick. No, I don't need to do all that. This build, I need to run the interrupt generation once to let it generate the new interrupt because we changed that. And then I'm going to go and add the missing functions. All right. Where's our includes? There it is. So there's file delete and directory delete that we've added. Let's get that in here. one question that might be coming up in people's minds is like, well, why were we going to native code to delete this stuff? It's because technically the names might actually not be files depending on the system. At least one platform we deal with, it doesn't normally work off of files. It works out of kind of a data structure that it works with, and for that reason, we have to go to the platform and say, hey, delete this file, delete this directory. But what it's really under the hood, it's managing it as like this data structure. So for that reason, we can't just call file delete, directory delete at the C# level and know that it's going to work everywhere. On PC, on mobile, on some consoles, it is just a file. The pathing might need to be special, but it is just a file. But on others, it's not. So that's why we have to have this extra hook here, I guess, to deal with that. And while they're on on that platform, while it does have a compatibility layer that will make it work like a file, there's some gotchas to it that you may or may not want to deal with. So this kind of handles it. This will handle it under the hood, and they don't have to worry about it. That's all. All right, so all right. What's our time look like? Oh, it's 10:30. Wow, we got 30 minutes left. We haven't gotten through nowhere near as much as I wanted to. Just a lot of boilerplate and thinking, which sucks. All right, so put that in place. Gonna make sure this builds. Holiday Dev, hello, first time actually catching the stream. Hey, ask any questions. Glad you're here. No spam today. I wonder when the spammers are going to appear. No. Feels like all that's kind of dumb at this point, but we'll see what happens. Eventually, that's going to be used, or at least on some platforms. So we'll see. So file exists, file delete and directory delete. So let's start with directory delete, since that's what we want to do. What's the right way to delete directories on Windows? Let's see. Gross. First suggestion is sh file operation. Really? There is no manual? You have to use sh file operation if you want to do recursion? That's really annoying. There must be another API. That can't be true. It's so annoying. That can't be true. Directory. Place in Windows Vista? Oh no. They made it an interface. That's so fucking crazy. Ladcan9993, is it just you working on the framework? Yep, it's just me working on the framework. Working on the storage API that's going to be added back in from the old XNA days, but with improvements to handle consoles and modern platforms. Man, this is so horrifying. See, this is where, like, someone who's asking a C++ or C#, you know, or Raylive versus MonoGame path, like, well, C# has an API for deleting a directory recursively. It's like, I think this is a parameter, like, is it recursive or not? Win32 does not. So this is where you get into the, like, the conveniences that you find with that. Oh, interesting. That's just delete file. Yeah, it's a whole other question, right? Like, if your game deletes save data, should it save data? Should it put it into the recycle bin or not? It's a whole other freaking question. Okay, this is gross, but let's just do this stupid thing. I hate it. I hate it. I don't want to have to write a manual. I'm going to double check one more time just to be sure, because I just don't like that. It's kind of a gross answer. Like, it doesn't seem like shell API should be required. It seems like just operating on something like that should be pretty straightforward and not something you have to resort to using a shell API to do. Gross. So yeah, so shell API is the way to do it. So let's do it. We'll get to delete container at some point. So I'm going to go with A because we're going to use, what's that? Million variables. So I need to set, nope, it's not a pointer operator. Function is going to be delete. Oh, I can do that. Function is going to be delete, I think. I'm reading the docs here on the side. Oh. Yeah. Use something that was weird. This returns like an H. Not using it right up. Just looking at it. Oh. Like that one dot confused the shit out of everything. All right. Okay, this is where I need to put the name. And we might need to fix something on the name, we'll see. We have flags to set. We want to confirm it. I guess it would pop up like a shell API thing, like, are you sure? Era UI. What else would we not want? do want it to be silent. This is where we could maybe allow that. I don't know if that's a nice feature or not. Maybe it is. What's the rest of those? That's kind of nice. Silent? Yeah, it does. So that should do it, and it's going to return it. What are the return codes from this thing? That's going to be important. Zero successful. If it's not zero, then we have to figure out what we're actually going to do here. There might be success cases that are still errors. Maybe. Actually, probably with folder deletion, you know, it really doesn't matter which one it is, right? Like, it not existing or something like that doesn't really matter. It just failed. It, you know, just fails. All right, so this should work in theory. Oh, you know what? I wonder if my test even does deletion. Yeah, test doesn't even do deletion. It just didn't write it. So that's the whole other side of things. So spent a long time on a test that is not actually happening right now. That's annoying. That's very annoying. I should probably do the opposite, which is add the create directory functionality. It's not going to delete shit. Lame. Should have realized that I got so fixated on the proper order of like, okay, first it has to delete, then it has to create, that I forgot that the test only creates. Let's just do the next step. See if we can do this quickly. I want to get some progress that's actually running code here. All right. Yeah, I think that's what we want to do. We mark it. This is feeling so complicated. I don't like how it feels so complicated. It is kind of like layers of doing things. So I kind of get it, I guess. It is kind of a complicated operation, I guess. Feels like there should be one API with an enum that says what's the operation, give me the file name, but you know, not going to do that. Okay, so gotta run the generator. It would have created directory create there. So back to this, we want to do create a directory. A group of spammers? No, I didn't. Ladcan9993 says, you said it's something a group of spammers. Not a group, but you know, once a stream, usually we have someone show up and spam stuff into the chat. So I was just surprised I hadn't seen them yet. I guess not seeing them is bad. We're not popular enough for them to come spam us. Come back, we're popular, please. I don't think create directory is cursive. Yeah, I guess the only way to do it is also with the Win32 API or with a shell API. It's kind of gross. I just don't like it being a shell API. We don't have to pass it a handle. Okay, so at least it's doable. Let's get this in place and try it. Why doesn't it want to find it? Oh, it's a different header than the other shell stuff. Why the heck? Windows. Microsoft's APIs have always been such a mess. Security attributes. We don't need any security attributes. I don't believe, at least. What does it return? Let's see. returns. I would assume, okay, something different. But we need to check for something. Probably. Okay, I guess it can return both these. Okay. Okay, I'm going to assume that's going to work. It'll actually do something this time. Well, actually, no, because yeah, commit does this work, so it should work, right? Okay, it's building, it's building. Ladcan993 says, just curious because I remember last year I was watching a coding stream and there's a bunch of people in this dude's chat saying that his code is fake. No, that's not what I mean. I mean just people saying like, hey, if you want more viewers, come here and we'll sell you some or something, or make fake ones. Who knows what they're actually trying to do, but probably something along those lines. So no, totally different. But now I miss them. Gonna run the debug on this. Maybe actually get it to write to disk. Still not doing anything, so that's fine. So it's going to go through the content and look for one, two. So that shouldn't hit these yet. It's here. Where it's actually going to hit. So, file directory. It's a directory, and it has a name, and it's dirty data. So here's where the first failure occurs. I need to marry this to the to the container name because this doesn't include container names. So I at least need to do that. And then the low-level code has to marry it to the path route to make it all work. All right, so let's stop and fix that. I do have to do like, I think I can do it this way. I mean, I could let the low-level code deal with the whole thing, maybe. Yeah, actually, that's how it should work, because that container name might be internal to this. So the low-level code should be the one that deals with that. This is where the container actually means something. So, so yeah, okay. So this is finally where the container stuff actually makes a difference. We've had this container name in here the entire time. We haven't done anything with it. We need to start doing something with it. So what it's going to do is we're going to take storage root. We're just going to do it down here for now, but we should probably eventually have a helper for this. Let's do it here for now, just to verify that it works. So we're going to do sorry, my fingers stopped working there for a second. And we're going to do string copy path. We're going to copy the root over. We should probably define whether the root contains a trailing slash or not. I think at the moment it doesn't. So I'm going to put a trailing slash on it. I'm going to use I mean, it's Windows, I can use a backslash, it'll be fine. Then I'm going to append the container name. Cap one of those guys on the end, and then I'm going to append this name. That should be the full path. And I think that's going to work. No better way than to find out by testing it, huh? All right, let's test it. So container, my game name. So we're going to take this path, it's building this thing one step at a time here. It's going to add a slash to it. It's going to add the container name and then add the directory name in there. And now it has a complete path. So it did it. So it succeeded. So this path should exist on my box now. Let's go take a peek in there. We do this off stream just in case it shows anything private. You don't want to leak any important information about games and things that I'm working on for clients. So app data, local, my game. Yep, it did it. There's the folder, it actually put it in there. So we have success, it successfully wrote that. 30 false. I think it's going to do a couple more here. So we should have both those folders in there now, because it writes 2 folders. So they actually exist on disk now. Then it does its cleanup pass. It's not deleting the ones that were marked to delete. Actually, nothing was marked to delete, so there's nothing there, but the files need to be written. So let's do that one real quick. See, this is also where it fails because it's not finding these directories because the get directory names is not reading from disk. So that's a whole other step. The commit, though, I need to get done first. So let's get it to write the files, then I can go to the next step here. We're about to run out of time for this stream this week, but you know, which sucks. I'm going to put in the file write because that's the next step here. I called it load and save. Create, delete. Right. Let's see. Almost done with this. Give me a second. All right. Let's see. Right. I don't know. I hate calling it file write, but it's overwriting it. I guess it should be file write. Yeah. I mean, it's really creating it. Let's call save. It's actually saving a file. That's the name, and then it's going to pass. It's going to pass in a byte pointer data, and I need to know the size of the data it's writing, and that's going to overwrite the file. It's not going to append or do anything. It's just like, here's the new file, write the whole thing, which is the simplest thing to do for these cases. All right. Okay, so this is where we need the data. What's the right way to get the data here? Oh, it's not from that. It's from here. And I have basically this data storage stream. redoing this. It's not in there. It's just in storage device, right? Storage container, sorry. Yeah. I think we have a load implemented here, I think. Right, okay. Okay, so what we want to do is we really want to pin the memory, I think. And the storage stream holds on to it for us, if I remember correctly. Oh, because it's just a memory stream, right? So I should be able to get it straight from the memory stream. I should be able to do the byte array from it and do that. So, I want to do right. I'm not going to goof around here. If the data is null, it should have gotten delete, so it's not going to be null. It's going to be at least 0 size, if anything. So I'm going to pin that, and then I'll have from this the size, so it's a pointer. That should be our API here. Oh. One thing. Wake up. Is it not like that? Oh, no, it's good. We're not dealing with error cases here at all. Like when these things fail, like what should it do? Currently it's silently failing and just not doing it. Should it bubble up and throw an exception? That's not very friendly. I mean, in theory, the file system shouldn't fail at this point, other than being out of disk space. We are not dealing with errors yet, so we need to decide. Hey, Quirky. Oh, you should have let me know at the beginning of the stream when you didn't like it. I mean, I like the song. It's got some. I like something that has a little bit more of a, upbeat thing. But it's definitely low volume, is it not? This is the same volume I had last time, I think. Trying to keep it pretty low. I hear it as well in my ears, so it doesn't bother me at all. Give myself some notes here for. All right, so that should do what it needs to do here. I'm also going to get a test for it not existing. I want to get this written. Let's finish this one last thing before we call it a day here. Sucks because I really wanted to do more here today, but it's like we barely get the file writing working. mostly my fault. I got hung up on a lot of weird things, and there might be some more stuff to move on. John Smith, I need to go. Thanks, Tom, for streaming the session. Happy coding. See y'all. Bye, John. Right, let's go back to this guy. File save. Put it back over here with the rest of the file operations. So this is going to work the same way. I should probably move that to a helper function. But I'm not going to do that for right now. We'll do that later because I just want this to work. There's a question about what happens here if the file name has paths in it and in the path doesn't exist, but I'm not going to worry too much about that right now. Let's see what's a good file operation to write the whole thing. I want to I guess create file can work, I guess. I mean, this is where we have these niceties in C# again, that we don't have at the Win32 level. Like you can just call file.write file, and it passes the file data, and it will take care of writing the whole thing for you without having to mess with anything. Here, it's a little bit more complicated. I mean, I could use in Win32, I should probably be using create file. It's probably what I need to be doing, which is annoying, but in some of this stuff, like directory, like file rights, I could probably just use, fopen and write that way. That's the, that way, at least that part of it is cross-platform in a way. I could do it that way. I think that will write the whole thing and overwrite what's there. Let's just do it this way. I think there is a null, because these are files to open. I think fopen what's the right fopen API? Oh, you don't want to do the PHP stuff. CP reference. I should probably be using fopens. Yeah, just W's all I need. That will do everything it needs to do, and I don't need anything else. So that will write the whole file. It'll catch the case where the file, it couldn't write the whole file because it ran out of space. And that'll work on all platforms, or all PC platforms at least. So there's a benefit to that. Let's test this. We're calling it a day here. Oh, still writing, still building. It would really behoove Microsoft, or it should have behooved them like years ago, to just gone and written, taken all the nice parts of C#'s APIs and made Win32 APIs, native APIs that match it, that are not tied up with COM or anything other bullshit. Just simple. You have Windows, you have a C# file file.write that you just pass a whole file to and it writes it. That should exist in Win32. Okay, so we have our file save path. That looks correct. Let me call fopen. It created the file. It wrote the data. Size matches the written size. Return is true. It wrote it. Okay, so it looks like it did it. Let's look at our folder real quick here. Yep, it wrote them, has the content expected in them. Should have white space at the end of it. No, it should be. No, it's just the size that it's supposed to. Oh, it's because it is writing 256 bytes. That was on purpose, pretty sure. Or no, that's not on purpose. That's actually a fault. That's incorrect. It shouldn't be that length. If I go to our test, I believe, shouldn't be that length. The reason that happened is because, right as a length 256, it's because of this get buffer. I assume that getting the length of this buffer is the right size. That's not it. Size is actually the size of this guy. It's the length. So it's wrong. This lets me fix that. Yeah. We're not going to be writing terabyte files. Okay, so that's more correct. Let's build this and debug it. It should also, this is going to let me test it overwriting a file on disk, which it should be allowed to do. It should do. Wait, wrong place. Just. So it should write. Wait, I was AI? Oh no. I better not be AI. Okay, so it's going to write it 10 bytes, which is what it should have written the first time. Written size 10 bytes. 10 bytes. It's still going to fail here because we're not reading yet, but at least we have it writing. So that's plus. If I go back to my folder, now the files are 10 bytes long, or should be 10 bytes. They should not have other stuff at the end of it because it's just 10 bytes. All right, so I wrote it perfectly the way that it's supposed to. Awesome. All right, so progress. All right. Yeah, we have to call it a day on that. It sucks. I want to do more, but we got a million other things to handle today, and this is just one of them. So where are we at? Where's my Windows here? Here we go. All right. So we didn't get as far as I wanted to today. A lot of boilerplate stuff. Feels like we're on the verge of actually getting some real things happening here. And then we'll be able to eventually handle the other platforms because we still need to deal with Mac and Linux specifically for reads and, for file operations for directory and directories and directory creation and deletion and stuff like that. Things that there aren't good cross-platform APIs for, at least not the cross-platform that also handle Windows. And getting the loading of actually happening so that actually when you go and say, hey, read the stuff out of this container, that stuff exists. Currently it doesn't exist, and that's part of the failures that are happening right now. It's not reading back. And it does feel like a long way around to make this work, but it's mostly there to handle some console platforms that do not work with file systems the way you normally would expect. And we have to have enough of a hook there to handle that stuff. And, who knows, by the time we get this all in there, it could be 6 months later, they change their API and it now can write to disk, and this is all a waste of time. But you never know when there's going to be another platform that decides to change that behavior. Save data is handled very weirdly on platforms at times. So it's a good thing in the end. And we can always just nuke that code and still have a good API. So a lot of code, but making progress. At least we ended with most of our unit tests to a working state, even though they're just working in memory, not writing disk, but at least the writing disk one is starting to get there. If we implement the readings, the writing side is now working, so it's doing this part of it. If the reading side is not happening now, so if the reading side starts to work, then it'll actually be storing stuff. So we're getting there, and we still need to do a little bit more. Like our tests are they're not robust. It's not handling, well, what about a directory inside of a directory? What about, what happens if I use oddball characters in my file names and directory names? That's in container names. That's not going to be allowed because some platforms require your file system to be, old ANSI characters. You cannot do UTF characters or wide characters. So for save data, you kind of have to store it in a more primitive way to be able to handle all platforms, and we'll want to enforce that in our API because otherwise, we want to make sure this API works everywhere seamlessly and you don't have to think about it. So you write your save data and it works. You don't have to mess with it again. All right, so that's it. So I want to thank everybody for watching. Follow us on Twitch and YouTube. We're trying to grow our numbers in both places and try to get more people aware of MonoGame and more people watching our streams. So please follow us there. The open hours is next week, I believe. I don't think we've announced what's happening at the open hours yet, but we should here soon. But that's when everybody in the foundation kind of gets on a video call so that people can understand video call. What am I, from the future? Everybody gets on a stream and we talk about what's happening in MonoGame. There's a lot of stuff to talk about at the next meeting. Thanks everybody. MonoGame is also is open source. It's free for everybody, even on consoles, but we always need funding moving things forward. So if you happen to have some extra or MonoGame's benefited you, come to the page and donate. We are a charity organization, promoting education of coding and game dev. So if you can, try. And that's it. All right, everybody. Have a good one. Bye.